Hello, welcome to South Africa. So, I was here on a business trip basically, and I've been trying to research on properties. And I have like a whole circle of investors and friends who wanted to buy some properties here. And I just had no idea how to go about it, but I just came here and researched the market. While researching the market, I found out Sarah. She is the star agent because it was not very difficult because after every few houses there was a board saying Sarah, Sarah. So then we got in touch. We had common friends also, so they kind of got us introduced and started to talk about properties. I had a lot of questions, and here we are with the star agent of South Africa.
Thanks so much for the introduction, Ashu. Yeah, it's lovely to be here today with you and finally do this interview. I know we've been trying for a little while. And yeah, I am the area specialist, and I don't only do property in Kyalami, which is the area that we are referring to right now. I also sell in Cape Town a lot, believe it or not, some very high luxury apartments and houses in sort of the Atlantic seaboard area. So it's awesome to be able to connect with international agents because the world is a small place today. So we don't only just get our clients from the direct area that we are selling in. Now we're getting clients and sellers and buyers from all over the world. So yeah, thanks very much for introducing me. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Well, let's do it then.
Yes.
Just as a side note, so it's a very different market. It's a very different marketplace for real estate here. And so for a foreigner coming in and trying to buy a property or even research, it's like a whole maze of things because we are used to the things there.
Yes.
We know that maze.
Yes.
This is a new maze.
Yes.
So why don't we just start with discussing how can a foreigner buy a property here? Because for the local South Africans, it's probably like it's understood,
Yes.
But I guess for anyone coming from anywhere else in the world, not just India, would have this confusion like, what do I need to do? How much do I need to spend? Can I buy? Any restrictions, challenges? I mean, the areas are beautiful, like big houses and lawns and beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The skies of Johannesburg are unreal. I mean, sometimes they're purple.
Yes, bright orange and
How
red.
can you have a purple sky? I mean, it's like amazing.
Yeah.
But anyways, so my first question that I wanted to ask you is, can a foreigner buy?
Yes, absolutely. We have absolutely no restrictions on anyone buying in the country. You obviously, there are some banks that will consider giving loans to foreigners, but only up to 50% loan to value. So if you want to get a loan here, you can approach a few banks. There's, I think, one bank, I think it's Nedbank, that doesn't do loans to foreigners, and then all the others, they're pretty easy. So we actually rely on foreigners buying in this country. It helps our economy. Cape Town is one of the biggest foreign owners of property because it's an international city. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. It's rated one of the top holiday destinations in the world. So we have plenty of foreigners owning holiday homes and places, investment properties there.
All right.
Yeah.
And then the process is the same, like if a local was to buy or if I, coming from India, I had to buy, the process is exactly the same?
Exactly the same.
No special permissions needed for foreigners?
No, not at all.
All right.
You don't need any visas. I mean, obviously you need your FICA documents to be in place.
What is that?
FICA documents is basically all the background checks that get done on you to make sure that you are a legitimate person and that you where the funds are coming from, passport, identity checks, all this kind of stuff. Checking where, black money or,
So you have people who can help me or any other investor wanting to buy, get that done, like that FICA thing?
FICA is very easy. It's just a check that the attorneys will do. Well, actually, it starts at the agent. I would get all your documentation, like a copy of your passport. If you're buying within a company, I would get the CK documents, all those sort of basic admin process, and then all I need is a copy of that, fill in the offer to purchase, and then once all those things have been closed and agreed upon, then that goes to the transferring attorney, and they do the background checks to make sure that everything is clean and we're doing a clean transaction.
So what does this actually, this thing FICA stand for? I mean, I'm a little bit more concerned about that, because is it like a very serious thing? Is it difficult to handle, or?
No, it's actually just a law that came in 2001. It's called FICA, Financial Intelligence Center Act, and it is basically just a background check to avoid money laundering and basically making sure that the transaction is clean. So it's nothing that actually you should have any worry about unless the money is coming from somewhere strange. But the attorneys take care of that. Few documents that I, as an agent, would have to request from you to make sure that I'm following the act, and then it goes to the attorneys and they do more of a background check. But it's pretty simple.
So for example, this friend of mine who's actually looking to buy a house here, he has real estate in India. He wants to diversify. He also wants to have a good rental return. And so we are a global, there's this global economy thing going on, and you don't want to be like putting all your eggs in the same Indian basket,
Yes.
although the basket may look very good.
Yeah.
But also there is a point of rental returns. Like he's got properties that he's renting out, and he's making about 1.5 to 2%
Yes.
returns on residential properties.
Wow.
And then you have to renovate the properties after 5, 6 years, 7 years. I mean, it's not worth it really.
Wow, yeah.
Because you could get, like, if you put the money in a bank, you could get like 5.5% as interest. Then, it's
That's
kind
even low for our standards. Yeah. Yeah. So
what would the return be here? Say, for example, if I was to put, say, about, not too much, maybe say 2 million to 4 million range, maybe get a flat or something. So 2 million range is like a 1 crore, and 4 million rand would be like 2 crore or something, yeah?
Okay.
For my Indian peeps.
To convert it. Well, actually, I just listed a apartment in Sandton Sky. It's an apartment block in Sandton City, which is a very upmarket city center of Johannesburg, and it's on the market for 3.7 million rand, which is what in your currency?
That's like 3.5 crore, okay.
Okay, yeah. And you can do Airbnb there, so it's a very popular place for businessmen who come into the city, because this is a very, we're a finance and...
Yeah, Sandton is the most upmarket place here, you could say, in Johannesburg.
Yeah, and it's a business hub of South Africa. So the rental percentage there is between 60 and 70% of rental that you're going to get, occupancy rental. So that's pretty good. And so I worked out the return on investment on that, and you're looking at over 9%.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the gross return on investment.
And then, how big is this apartment?
Sure. I think it's about 80 square meters.
80 square meter is probably in square feet should be like 1,000 square feet, eh?
Oh, sorry, I don't know the conversion on that one. Yeah.
No. So let us just say 900 to 1,000 square feet. We both are not mathematicians. It's a little hard,
should be.
But let's just say 80 square meter or 1,000 square feet. That's slightly more expensive than an apartment you would get in Delhi. So I thought South Delhi was so much more expensive than this place. But yeah, these apartments in Sandton are probably, is this like the top end of Johannesburg or South Africa?
Well, it's a business hub. It's a city center. So
are there apartments which are more expensive than this?
Yeah, you will find definitely apartments that are more expensive. But South Africa is a big place, and each city is so different. So Johannesburg in general, you can find bigger houses generally for a bit cheaper. If you compare it to Cape Town, Cape Town is very international prices. So it's very different to compare. You can't say the whole of South Africa, you can't say the same for everywhere.
Yeah, sure,
But yeah, that property, for instance, you're getting a 9% return on investment. If you put your money in the bank here on a 3-year holding account, you can earn above 10% on your money. So,
what about 1 year?
1 year, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a financial advisor.
Okay.
But I do know that it's interesting to look at the comparison of putting your money in the bank. 11% interest is quite good. If you have, put it in a 5-year holding account, you can get over 11%. But you need the capital to put there. Whereas here in South Africa, you can leverage money from the bank. So you can use the bank's money and buy property, and you're getting 9% return on investment. Not everyone has the capital to put it in the bank and earn interest on it. So property is a very lucrative and interesting prospect here in South Africa, even though our interest rates are very high in comparison to other cities and countries. Yeah, we have quite a high interest rate.
All right.
Yeah.
So, like, how would you compare me buying an apartment in Sandton and spending that much money, or maybe going for this beautiful area of Kyalami and having like this hectare of land and a nice small house on it, which is probably like 5 times or 3 times bigger than the apartment there in Sandton?
Yeah.
How would you compare these?
Well, they're very different properties, even though Kyalami is very close to Sandton. Sandton City is actually the richest square mile of area in Africa. So it's very lucrative to own there because there's a lot of businessmen internationally that will come in. The Gautrain goes there, which is our sort of public transport from the airports. And so a lot of businessmen come in for a few days, stay in some of these apartments. So this apartment is basically set up for you just to arrive. It's got a restaurant, it's got a gym, internet, all the furniture comes with the sale of the property. It's very upmarket and very, very luxury and comfortable to stay in.
Okay. So I do get bragging rights also, like I have a place in Sandton.
Exactly. Everyone should know. That's the richest place.
Sandton, you have paid some respect to me now.
Exactly. Yeah, and some beautiful views, it's high-rise buildings. It's actually very nice. And the surrounding sort of Sandton area, residential area is very green. So if you own a house in that area, you're pretty wealthy.
Good. And safety-wise, say if I was to buy this big house that you showed me here in Kyalami, or buy an apartment there in Sandton, security-wise, how would you compare them? Because frankly, that is also a concern to most people, I guess.
Yeah, the thing is that every country has its areas and its things about security. So I think that there's been a lot of sort of media frenzy to say that South Africa is dangerous. And
they always do that.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there's places in India, for me as a foreigner, not really being streetwise in India, not understanding, I would be sort of in a security risk, So I think it's just that foreigners will come here and they don't really understand which areas you shouldn't go to, or don't walk around flashing your 100,000 Rand diamonds. If you're going to walk in the streets, don't do that at night or alone as a woman. And there's certain areas, like here in Kyalami, actually, it's very secure and safe.
Yeah, I noticed, yeah.
And especially in those houses that I've shown you, which also have a really good return on investment. I think we worked it out to 6% and above. And in Indian standards, that's pretty high.
That's pretty high,
yeah. So we have sort of in Joburg, because it's sort of the hub for a lot of Africa, so a lot of the Africans will come from their country, like Malawi, Zimbabwe, and the neighboring countries. They'll come to Johannesburg, it's the closest city for them, and they will come here looking for work. So you will get a lot of the lower class, unemployed sort of people coming, and that's sort of where you'll find more crime. Do you know what I mean? But it's generally isolated in certain areas. So here we generally in Johannesburg, in the residential areas, you'll have a boomed area, which means you'll have security points, there'll be cameras, and we'll have patrolling security companies, and you just have to look which area, because this area is amazing with its security, and you don't feel in danger at all. You can walk in the streets, you can leave your doors open, and you have a lot of land and a huge house. Like all the houses that I showed you are massive. They're from like 750 square meters to over 1,000 square meters. I mean, I think if you come and live here, you kind of gonna feel like you've got too much space, because in comparison, it's...
Plus, I mean, it's the space, plus it's also the air, water, food. Like the African soil is very rich, so the foods that you guys grow here, I've been researching on that, it's very good, you know. It's very rich in the minerals, which I think even in the US or anywhere else in the world, you know, the quality of the soil is not so good, so the plants don't get so much minerals. Even the meats are not so healthy, so since you have so much land here, it's easy to have those free grazing animals and all that. So that is also, like, for me, that is a very important factor. When I look at my life, I'm like, okay, well, money is one thing, but I don't want to be in a very polluted area if possible, you know?
Yes, yes.
So that part is also pretty good here, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, well, in comparison, I think, yeah, you're right. Yeah, well, our meat, we have excellent quality meat, free range, a lot of free range. And
people are generally nice.
It's a very
nice, colorful, mixed kind of community, you know, all sorts of different cultures mixed up, pretty much like India actually, where I come from, Delhi. We have so many cultures, you know. So here also I see like a lot of foreigners here also, but I don't know how else to say it, but the whites and the Africans, you know, it's like mixed, and the whites are also. Is that okay to say this word? In India, we don't have any problem. The word white is okay, or you say Caucasian or something?
You can say either. I think you'll always find somebody that will be offended by something we say, but yeah.
I'm not sorry if you're offended, but just saying. So there is this African people here.
Afrikaans, yes.
Afrikaans, and then there is the British descendants, you know, and then there is a lot of foreigners run into Russians and Italians, and you know, all of those people here, plus Africans from well, definitely South Africa, but Namibia, Zimbabwe, Angola and whatnot, you know. So it's a very colorful community, but generally people are warm, and I kind of like that.
Absolutely, yeah. And actually Johannesburg is known for the people being a lot friendlier.
Yeah.
If you ask people what are the people like in Cape Town, they'll tell you they're very cliquey. So they'll stay in their circles of friends, and it'll be very hard for you to meet new people, and they won't just, you know, invite you in. And
everyone says, "How's it?"
Yeah, everyone says, "How's it?"
Look at him and he goes, "How's it?"
Yes, yeah. But in Johannesburg, if you go out to a market or a restaurant, a complete stranger will happily get into a nice conversation with you, and it's very open and friendly, and you might even get invited to a braai or something, you know. So, you know, it is a very friendly place to live. And it's very productive. Like I say, it's a business hub, so a lot of people actually in their early careers will move to Johannesburg to get going and make money and get to a stable point financially. And then generally after 10 years, people start migrating back to Cape Town because they want the lifestyle and the ocean, and so it's kind of where we kind of are in our plans. We are in Joburg for now, but we plan to go back to Cape Town.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, awesome. So now Joburg is beautiful. There is no doubt South Africa is good, everything is good. But there is a few things, you know, that like kind of deter a person like me to putting my money here or to kind of move here, or, you know, like for one thing, there is this problem of load shedding. Every day there is some load shedding and there is no electricity, and it becomes like a bit of a issue. I mean, even in India, which is not supposed to be as developed, or so you guys believe, we don't have that problem. At least not in Delhi, where I'm from.
Yes.
And also, like, there is a bit of like a infra problem, it seems, you know, like in terms of deliveries and all that. We have Amazon and it delivers like the same day or the next day, and the food you can get in every 30 minutes. Now you have Uber Eats, I understand, but we have a lot more.
Yes.
So I'm not boasting that we are better, although we are. But I'm just saying, how do you see these challenges?
It's an interesting question because, you know, we are actually a third world country. So we have a first world lifestyle, and a very big gap between first world and your sort of middle class and lower class. There's a huge gap between lower and higher class. So the majority of the population fall into the lower class, and you've got a very small portion that are the upper class and the rich. So the affordability becomes quite difficult when you're faced with these challenges of load shedding, increased inflation, for the majority of the country, because they can't afford to keep up. They can't get generators, they can't get solar. If the interest rates go up, then they can't afford their bonds. So in that case, it changes the whole dynamic of the interest rates and the property prices and availability. So yeah, we just actually are in such an interesting phase because of COVID, we are going through, well, when COVID hit, our interest rates were at an all-time low at 6%. That, I think, is the lowest South Africa's ever seen. And so a lot of people were able to buy and afford to get a bond and buy nice houses. Now the interest rate is at 9.75.
So from 6 to 9.75, eh?
Yeah.
That's a lot. Okay.
That's a lot of increase in such a short space of time. So all those people are now struggling to pay their bonds because it's quite a difference, And so then that floods the market with properties for sale, brings down the prices. So it's an interesting phase. 9.75 is still very low for South Africa. So
is it low?
yeah, it's very low for South Africa. In South African terms, it's pretty low.
India is about 8.5 right now, I think. And I know US and all has always been very low, but now they've also increased to 4.
Yes.
The inflation here, I don't think it's very high. I mean, US probably has more inflation than you guys right now.
We're at about
But yeah.
7.4% or something like that.
No, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're still like a developing country. So just so you guys know, this load shedding is basically when the electricity is cut out, because there is a shortage of electricity, there are more consumers than there is production. It's fairly normal in, I think, all parts of developing world, at least. In India, it used to be a big thing. Even in Delhi, we used to have big, like long power cuts. In South Africa, they just call it load shedding. It's just like a fancy term to say we don't have enough electricity all the time.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so now we understand the market is good. Generally speaking, it's good. And if I want to buy a house here as a foreigner, I can buy. Now the next thing is, if I was to buy in India, I would get a loan, and you guys call it a bond here. Interesting. So I can get a bond in India and pay some interest, and I can get up to 80%, sometimes even 90% of the amount as loan. Now you told me that as a foreigner, I can get here up to 50% as a loan or as a bond.
Yes.
That's fine. But how will the South African banks know that this guy is really making money in India or not? Because, I mean, like an Indian bank would look at my tax returns, my bank account statements and all that, and they know the markets in general, they know what kind of business I do and how good or bad it is,
Yes.
How will South African banks do it?
It will be pretty much the same. So they will obviously have a department that deals with that. They will ask for all the documentation that they need the same way, your tax returns, proof that you're paying your taxes. They'll ask for bank statements, your commission. If you're earning commission, they'll ask for 6 months or sometimes more of your commission statements. So they can do checks internationally, because they have to check that you're not a criminal and do the FICA that we spoke about earlier in this interview. So that all gets done, and they have ways to do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. It's not very hard then. One could get a loan as a foreigner. It's pretty easy, it seems, from what you say.
It's pretty common because we rely on foreigners to buy property in this country.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Sarah. So I'm sold, and my guys are bringing the money as we speak.
In suitcases, right?
Yeah, in suitcases, yeah. No, not suitcases. You have that fika thing going on. So.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
But now let us say I buy a property, or any foreigner for that sake buys a property here, and I'm going to go back and do my business or whatever, and probably I can come here once a year, or maybe even not that. I just want to park money and get returns or whatever, you know. Now, how do I manage the property? Because one, this is like not my country, so I have less confidence in case something goes wrong.
Yes.
And two, I want to keep an eye on my asset, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite difficult actually having an asset so far away in terms of if you're going to be managing it, making sure of everything. So, but it is obviously very possible. Many people do it. It's just that you have to keep on the pulse, basically. So we do have agents that deal just with rentals. You get managing companies or so. You can also just set up like a list of contractors that you would need in any emergency, like a plumber, electrician, someone trustworthy, and
yeah,
you
but
can.
who's going to do all that? I mean, I'm going to be sleeping in India, somebody calling me, my tenant calling me, you know, there is no water.
Yes.
Could you manage the property, for example? I buy it from you and I say you manage and you charge me for it.
I could, but I don't want to.
Okay.
No, it's a very time-consuming part of being an agent is doing the rentals, and it's not my game. I do it a little bit for myself and a couple of other people in this area, but otherwise you do get agents who specialize in rentals, and if you want to pay them a management fee to manage the property, if anything goes wrong, someone would phone them and they would address the problem. So it's pretty easy to set up, but it's a lot of work.
How much would he charge me?
I think they charge 10% of your monthly rental income.
Okay. All right. So, but how much will such an agency charge me for managing the property?
They generally charge 10% of your monthly rental. Yeah, which is fine.
Okay. Now, fine. 10%. Okay. That's kind of worth it in terms of the value I get.
Yeah.
And they're good agencies, and I can trust them, right?
Yeah, I think you need to do your homework, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
And
could
find
connect me
someone
to-
who's good. Yeah,
You could connect me, yeah?
definitely.
Okay. Now, the next part is, if it is not rented out for, say, 6 months, do they charge me or is it like free? Because they're going to be managing the property, getting it cleaned up, maintaining it, showing it.
Yes. Well, that would be a problem if it was empty for 6 months. Then you'd probably have to find out why and fix that problem, because that shouldn't be the case. Maybe get another rental agent.
Okay.
Yeah. So
But they'll still manage the property for me.
they'll still manage it and be
Is it-
looking for people to rent it and make sure that there's electricity and water and everything's fine.
Yeah, and it's all in a written agreement that he has the keys to my house and
Exactly.
he doesn't just occupy it or something like that.
Yes,
yeah?
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you, Sarah, so
Yes,
much.
thank
and,
you.
I mean, you helped me with so much of research, and I really wanted to record this. It also gives an idea to more people who are looking to buy here. I've run across people like friends also. They had questions. I was like, let us just record one, and well, let's see if we can close the deal we are working on.
Yes, amazing. Yeah, I think it's super helpful for anyone from South Africa or India interested in this a topic. It's
Or
very
anywhere,
informative.
or from anywhere. I guess it's a good
Anywhere.
time to move from Russia to India also.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Or Russia to, South Africa, whatever. Yeah.
absolutely. And I can definitely help with any foreigners who would like to buy in this country. So thank you so much for taking the time to have this interview with me. Good luck with all your projects in India. I know that you are a busy man and doing very well with your projects. So again, well done, and hope to see you back here soon and we can close some deals together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you then.
Okay. So if anyone wants to get hold of the best Indian agent in Delhi, how would one go about doing that?
Well, okay, my details, it's on the video, and one can reach me on email, call me. I'm available all the time, WhatsApp me or whatever suits. And I'll be more than happy to help anyone with that. And of course, Sarah, I mean, I have had such great reviews about her. I asked a few people, you know Sarah? Oh yeah, we know Sarah. She's an excellent person, kind of thing. So Sarah's details are also there. If you're looking to buy any real estate, give her a call and close some deals. Yeah.
Yeah.